Okay. Looks like we're live. Welcome back to day 4 of the Christmas special stream on whatever I call this channel. For anyone who is tuning in after the fact or has missed the other days, this is part 4 of a 5-part series, chronicling a trip I took on towards the end of the run of the Three Rivers. Although there wasn't actually a lot of Three Rivers content, although there was towards the end when we're getting into Chicago. We've actually, gone out to Chicago, arrived at Chicago, went back and forth to Aurora, and have now returned to Chicago and invisibly headed off on the Capital Limited. As this trip took place in January, not a lot of light. Even today, the Capital Limited leaves. I think it's the latest departing train out of Chicago. So there really wasn't a lot to do besides get on and eat. I think in this case we were in a sleeper, but I can't. Yeah, we almost certainly were. At the time, Amtrak employees there was a system where if depending on how much demand there was, they would either get a room or a seat free. They would get it. They would pay for it, and then if it turned out, they would look through the records. If no one was going to have booked it, they then would get that money refunded, or they would just get a 20% discount if they were actually taking a seat from a paying customer. Usually in January, not a lot of people go to Chicago, so it's almost certain that we were. I was traveling on my friend's ticket here. There was one of these. It might have been this trip even. We got a fun that I forget how we worked it, but I actually because for one reason or another, because I think maybe he wasn't sure that he was going to get reimbursed. I bought a separate unreserved ticket on the cap, which is sort of odd. That it was like a reserved. It was a reserved seat without having a seat signed, so I could like attach it to his reservation. Because maybe his employee discount wouldn't cover me, so I had to pay my rail fare. But they needed to get me a special kind of ticket that could attach to his room, not the usual way. It was very odd. It was the oddest ticket I've seen, but they managed to do it. Anyway, first time we had any time to get off was Toledo. I'm just going to start right here. Our lead engine was 167, which I don't think was the engine we saw coming in on the lakeshore. I'm going to have to double check that. That would have been yesterday's, wouldn't have. Let's see. I think it was 161 though. Note the blue stripe, blue and red stripe that has since been converted into gray and a thinner red. One sec. Let's see what this was. Maybe it's not in that one. Maybe it is in this one. Oops, not there. Huh, that's strange. It's part 2, right? Yeah. Part 1. No, in part 2. Part 1. There it is. Yeah, it is 161. So it's not the same train we saw there. So anyway. Yeah, Toledo's a really neat station. I pulled up an overhead on it because it's very much it's sort of like Cincinnati's Union Terminal, or Buffalo's or Detroit's, but somehow they managed to keep intact all the platforms, even if only two of the platforms have tracks on them. Only 2 of the tracks even go through. Although it looks like there's some additional tracks there, so it looks like I guess there's 3 station tracks. But it is a neat. I've never been inside of it. I've always wanted to go inside, but it's sort of late at night, and if you miss your train, you're screwed. So it's just a really neat station. I've always wanted to use, but never had the opportunity to. I almost was in a situation to need to use it once, but just didn't quite work out. Trying to get somewhere to see someone in Michigan. was arranging a pickup at Toledo. The trip fell through, so it never really happened. This is going to be the only picture before we get going on the. Where is this? The Cumberland. It takes me a few minutes to get worked up. So I was just out here working on practicing my night shots. Again, I don't like using a tripod, so I would use any of the beams or chairs or whatever they had available. Just sort of set the camera down and take some night shots there. Again, yeah, this red and blue stripe disappeared from the Phase 5 scheme, and no one really talks about it. It's strange. Oops. What's going on here? Ooh. And we should pick up... Oh, one last thing. Here we have a private car, the B&O Silver Spring. I did pull this up ahead of time. Not sure what it's doing these days. Last picture on our picture archives is from 2015 at Utica. So anyone in the chat wants to jump on and mention what's up about that. Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. I said I have been very tempted to sneak in there when the train is stopped. But honestly, usually, well, it all depends. The Capital Limited had some weirdnesses going on with dinner scheduling because of how the central time zone sort of worked. Like, they didn't want to start serving dinner until like 8. Oh God, it's so weird because you'd get your dinner schedule, like the train leaves like at 7, so you'd want your dinner to be at 9, and then as the train left, suddenly it would go from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, so it's like, well, what happened to my dinner time? And I've been in the Cap, especially before they sort of did their like more rapid dining, for all the people who complain about like the lack of silverware. There was one time on the Capital Limited that I didn't get out of that diner until midnight. And that was common, just because of the reduced number of hours you had leaving. Because they didn't want to start serve. They would usually wait well into Indiana to start serving, and with the time zone change, losing an hour, you had people going in to sit down at 11 o'clock. Oops. So that was something they did eventually rectify. But I have pulled into Toledo whilst in the dining car. Other things I've done on this run, although I couldn't get pictures, I have stayed in the back all the way through to Cleveland just to see some of the neat sights, just to witness them with my eyes. Not only the old New York Central signaling, but like Berea Tower, which is still standing, but some of the drawbridges. You see a lot. There's always a lot of neat stuff, especially the way that Conrail worked. This with the signals here, they had bracket masts, but when they went to the New York Central installed bracket masts, but when Conrail wanted to have double stacks, instead of having the brackets each arm of it face one direction, they rotated it around, because this was past the 1980s, the 1984, 85 FRA, ICC regulation on that. So when they deregulated signal placement, they were able to just flip one of those heads around and then made them into glorified, really tall masts, because the double stacks would otherwise interfere with the sight lines. So this is the other P42 we had in the front this day. Surprisingly not running elephant style as number 173. And the heritage baggage is 1709. For anyone wanting to look those up. And then we have our jump cut to the morning. So normally when I would want to ride on so after this point, I was always trying to get up early as you can to get as much signaling as you could on the B&O line. Sometimes I'll be lucky enough to be up by Pittsburgh, but a lot of times after that, the light wouldn't necessarily be advantageous. Of course, the first couple of times you get up, you have the most of the line, the Cumberland sub to do. So it was only when I had to get around to the Keystone sub that it became a real problem to catch it and to get it in daylight. I managed it a couple of times, but it was still a struggle to get up that early. And we have the Falls Cut Tunnel. This is on the route down from Sand Patch. So whatever I was doing, I assume either eating or sleeping. This is my first point. This is my first ability to get to the back of the train. I do have surveys. This would make Keystone sub. Confluence, Brook Tunnel, Pinkerton Tunnel. Nope. Sand Patch. Falls Cut Tunnel. At milepost 198.3. Built in 1897. I actually got some books on the B&O main line up through, wherever it goes. So I'm going to be at some point I'm going to be releasing blog posts detailing every signal location on the B&O main line. Great. We got a rail grinding train. I don't know where it is. Well, I can always look down, find it. I'll find it. There it is. This would be at 193.7. That's the beauty of having done a lot of this work before. Well, whatever snowstorm was going on, it looks like this part of the region was not affected by it. Is everything okay? All right, everything looks okay. Here we have the... that's interesting. Oops. This is the Truss Bridge at milepost 192.1. This is taken in 2014, and here in 2005, you can see the remnants of a third track there off to the side. Looks like that was later removed. Whatever years later. Oops. There's the picture I'm working on. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. This is one of my first instances of really streaming one of these survey runs where it's just signal after signal after signal. So you've been warned. 85. I've actually made sure I put up the don't need that anymore. All right, here we go. 85. What was that? 85.99. Probably an SD40. No, it's an SD50. This one is not still on the roster, it looks like, but it was back in 2005. Yeah, I should have just looked at it because you see the big radiator. That's your giveaway. Oops. Question is, where is this? Oh. Oh, it's in Hyndman. Hyndman. There used to be a tower here at some point. Up until the early 2000s, actually. For those of you who don't know, this part of the B&O main line was one of the last, just like the Amtrak Harrisburg line, it was probably one of the last Class 1 freight lines to still be completely tower controlled. Pretty much from West Brunswick all the way through to some definition of Pittsburgh. And it was also, and that eventually was, removed all at the, around the turn of the century, between 2000, 2003, 2005 in there. Maybe even the late 90s. But another interesting thing is that same section was also the last part of the last railroad in the country to have a working telegraph line. Even though it wasn't 100% needed, there was still an active and maintained telegraph Morse code line that could be used by the tower operators. They didn't have to use it, but it was there, and for whatever trick of the imagination, they got guys. So this is where the old Hyndman Tower, by the way, used to be, sort of in this area around this bridge, I think. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get a milepost on this siding. Oh, it's the same place. So, Makes me wonder if they removed it. And that's before the bridges. $190, 190.7, 188, 187.0, 179.4. Oh, it looks like I got a big gap there. I don't know what that's about. Oh, here we go. Duh. This is always annoying when you don't know where things are and they're insignificant. Oh, it's right at Hyndman. Okay, so this is the Hyndman crossover. It's a good thing I have my Baltimore Division timetable up. So it's always, when you're looking to milepost things for, whatever, your notes or your file names, always, when you get stuck, always look at your preceding or following pictures, because often at that point you'll find useful landmarks. So I knew it was somewhere around the Hyndman crossover, and oops, I'm going forward, not back. And the next picture confirmed that it's pretty much at milepost 190.3. There's the Hyndman crossover right there. Next. And I guess that's why that answers why the The CSX short freight was what they were waiting for. They're waiting on us to cross ahead of them from track 1 to track 2. So this was fairly new at the time. Let's see, cut that there, move this over. So the irrelevant question becomes, is that a low profile M3 or is that the infamous GM 4000 or whatever switch from Alstom? Possibly that Alstom switch machine. 1 second. I have an example, and I keep mixing them up. Oops, that's not it. This is the one. Nope, it's not one of the Alstom. So the Alstom junk ball point machine only has 2. It's got a head and a body, and you can see in this one it's clearly an M3 low profile. It has the same textured top, but it has three segments to it. Every so often, someone in the Class 1 railroad purchasing departments makes a typo and they order some of those weirdo switches, but they usually don't. They don't make repeat orders. And the signal bridge or cantilever. Yeah, another thing is a lot of my digital cameras, they're not like even the DSLR I have. They always have color balancing issues. Although this is my old camera, but winters when usually they shoot very cool, but in winter you kind of want that blue tinge. Let me just double check this. Here we have the same thing, just fast forward a bunch of years. Just want to make sure that yep. See what names are available. All of them or just some of them? Yeah, all of them. Well, we got through that one pretty quick, I hope. Let's see if we got any questions in the thing. Gorgeous Station. I mean, on single level trains, so it's really only affected my ability to get pictures on the Lakeshore route, which I have almost none. And that's a shame. By the time they started putting the baggage cart, I never really had a good opportunity to ride that a lot, and now I just have none because of the way they do the baggage. And on the anything going to Florida, fortunately, I had a lot of years taking photos between DC and Selma on the A line. Oh, I don't know. Like if I was going back in time, I'd definitely probably stick to PRR stuff. um, I'm also not necessarily a head over heels Steam person. I don't not like Steam. But I would definitely probably have more of an interest in early electrics. There's more preserved Steam right now than you have better examples of Steam than early electric, at least in this, especially in this country. And the amount of preserved early electric is pretty much nil, unless you count like weirdo steeple cabs, like stuff that's just dumb. Like they're neat, but like they're trolley technology. So here we have the famous Viaduct Junction, border between the Keystone Sub and the Cumberland Terminal. A tower was located right there. And there's something special about the signaling at Viaduct Junction. Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of special about the signaling at stuff going on here. And I'll show you. I'm going to keep you guys in suspense until I get to there. But I just want to check out the existing what I have for photos of Viaduct Junction before I go into naming things. Here we go. I got a lot. This is where I was going to get all those. I think I just tagged stuff as winter. I don't even know if I knew what the names. Like, why don't I have these photos in my B&O, survey folder? Probably because I named them so poorly they just never even turned up. Probably one of the very few I have it during winter. We got going here. Where is this? Okay. That's not good. Oops. That's the problem. Here we have so this was a very, very early re-signal job by the CSX. So Viaduct Junction, when they closed the tower, they weren't fully into their let's make everything seaboard phase. They knew they wanted to not have B&O CPL. So for anyone who doesn't know, the CSX operates effectively. Well, now it has Conrail, but let's forget about the Conrail rules. They had two primary sets of rules. You'd seaboard. CPLs, which were kind of part of seaboard, but didn't matter because CPLs are orthogonal to seaboard. You don't have any conflicts. But their other major color light system was C&O, or Chessie. So B&Os CPLs don't conflict, so they don't need to make their own special rules. You'll see the seaboards right next to a CPL head on the rulebook page. Then you had this next page. Then you had a bunch of Conrail things. Then you had the Chessie signal rules, and that was for the C&O color lights. And there was a very brief period of time, somewhere between 1992 and in the later 90s, where in the Chessie territory, the CSX had clearly made a decision to dump CPLs and go with Chessie rules on Chessie territory. And I'm going to tell you how I know that in just a second. By the way, I love the way you got the light here, lighting up these dwarfs. And also, these are not SafeTran. These are USNS modular. The fairly uncommon USNS modular signal that lost out to the SafeTran clamshells in the Signal Wars. I'd have to go through my C&O rules to see if those match up with C&Os, because those don't look like they are modified, but they might have been. If you're wondering what the junction is in Viaduct Junction, it's the junction between the Mountain Sub going off there. That goes to the coal fields of West Virginia and Grafton, and the Keystone Sub, which heads straight ahead to Pittsburgh. Back when the tower was there, it was a 2x2 flat junction, so British style with manually worked points and a diamond. And then they realized that there was, they didn't really need the 2x2 flat junction, so they just made it a single track that then branches back out to two. Track inspection vehicle. Am I gonna not have that thing I wanted to show you guys? Oh yeah, I'm not. All right, so I'm just gonna apologize real quick. Sorry. So what tipped me off as to what was going on was this either any of the signals at Viaduct Junction, because you have a big Chessie style elephant ear and a big Chessie style elephant ear, and then you have this like Seaboard 4-lamper. And I'm thinking, well, what's going on here? Well, because what they did was at some point when they made it Chessie, a full Chessie CNO style color light would have 3, 3, and 2, and that would give you your you can go. I did a post on what constitutes a full complete signal. So this would be a yellow and a green. This would be a 3-banger, and this would be another 3. As is the style at the time. So you would have, like red over yellow dark for restricting, or red over yellow for medium approach. And then at some point they're like, well, we're going with Seaboard. Let's dump all these new Chessie style signals on the, we're not trying to expand CNO signal territory. So some manager came in here and then they kept the top and the bottom heads, which line up with CNO, and then they had to put in this 4-banger here. Because Seaboard only has lunar restricting. So that's the tip-off. That's the Rosetta Stone that shows, what they were, what the evolution of that was. It's little stuff like that where you see the missing links that let you know how the management it gives you light on the management decisions. If there's a wonderful documentary on intelligent design that they caught an intelligent design textbook where they try to do a cut and paste to get rid of the creationism, and they cut and pasted it improperly, and it was like the smoking gun in court that shows that this is just creationism by another name, because they were able to show that this typo here shows that they were just just doing a find replace on a creationist textbook. It's just the east end of the Cumberland yard. I don't know what number those things are, so. Oh, it's a TIV, a track inspection vehicle. New Jersey Transit has one of those. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but you see them around. 8599, which is another. Is this the same dude we just saw earlier? Oh my God, it is. So here's 8599 again with its auto racks, and we've been sitting at the Cumberland station for so long that he's come up behind us. For those of you who don't know, the Cumberland station is a crew change point on Amtrak. It's an engineer change, not a conductor change, I don't think. So Amtrak, does not the engineer changes and the conductor changes are not the same always. Amtrak has in their collective bargaining agreement that if any engineer if there's a train moving between the crew change point A and crew change point B, if that scheduled time is more than 6 hours, that job becomes 2 engineers are to be in the cab. Basically, unlike a freight train, on a passenger train, that guy's up there all alone. So they figure that, they don't want him falling asleep or, doing whatever. So in the CBA, they get 2 engineers if there's this longer than this gap. So that means that they typically will then schedule engineer changes no more than 6 hours, no more than 6 hours. So the conductors, I think, go all the way from DC to Pittsburgh, but they swap out the engineers in Connellsville. I mean, not Connellsville, in Cumberland. At least in one direction. Because, yeah, for a conductor, it's scheduled, it's 4 at midnight. It gets into Pittsburgh at midnight. That's an 8-hour run. So the conductors can go the whole way, but they pull out the engineer swap here. And that's why it takes a little bit. They got to do a job briefing. It's also generally considered to be a smoke stop. So whether or not your train needs to make up time or not, this is where they let the passengers out to get their nicotine hit. I'm gonna say here we're getting onto the CPLs. One other story. I think I told this the last time. I don't have it here, but I had a picture of the Cumberland station, and I had an Amtrak guy contact me because someone had slipped and fallen, and there was a lawsuit, and I apparently had a picture of the station, the condition of the station platform at or about the time that the slip and fall happened. So I was more than happy to provide that. So again, I have a picture of this same thing that you saw last time about 6 months from now, and I was actually looking like, oh, what's with that hump retarder? I'm not sure if that's the new one or the old one. Oops. But they're doing something with them. You can see that they've excavated for the replacement of the hump retarders. I was actually on a westbound Capital Limited stopped at Cumberland, and I was able to watch them just humping cars. It's quite noisy. We'll see if that makes a comeback after this PSR thing fades away. I find it hard to believe that a hump yard is that much more of a cost thing than flat switching. It's like, how many jobs are you saving? And really is a couple million gonna make a dent in your bottom line of billions of dollars in revenue? I don't like that name. Beautiful light here. You get some of the nicest light in winter. Unfortunately, you don't get a lot of it, but you get some. I mean, part of it, I've heard people say that there's reduced the dew points lower or something. So when it's below freezing out, you naturally have lower haze because there's not much water in the air. Also, something to note here that we got these some tank cars are in the process of being rolling down the hump bowl, so that's cool. I mean, everything's beautifully lit here, just lighting up the CPLs and everything. Get your hump yard action here. Let's see what I called this. Not sure what I would have done it as. There's your little duck under track. Those are popular. I don't know what they're there for. A lot of yards seem to have those. Oops. Oh gosh, we're into Mexico again. Okay, let me just answer some questions before I have to get into this. B&O CPLs are their own thing. They are neither mimicking the PRR system nor are they in any way equivalent to the Norfolk and Western colorized or Amtrak colorized position lights. If we can, I can. Let me wait till I get to Mexico to pull that up. But they are definitely a very they are the PRR system and related Norfolk and Western and then colorized are a semaphore replacement. The B&O CPL is not a semaphore replacement. It is what I like to call North America's only like ground up theoretically sound signaling system. And I'm just looking for some because I did a bunch of stuff with Mexico on my St. Louis trip, and I just don't want to try to fumble for the file names. Again, because Mexico is an absolutely really, really, really irritating interlocking to label. Okay. Because it has like two segments, one with like a pre-processing segment and then the main segment. So the B&O CPL works as follows. First off, the high signals have the same indications as the dwarf signals. Second, the central target gives you block occupancy information. A green, the position is simply there as it's a way to, it's sort of a redundancy, and it's more salient and visible. But the green, the color and position has maximum salience. Green as a color and or green vertical indicates that there are two clear blocks ahead. A yellow indicates that there is one clear block ahead, and red or lunar indicates there is 0 clear blocks ahead. The 6 possible orbitals then provide speed modification. Upper is full speed, lower is is full is clear now, clear to clear. The 6 o'clock is medium to clear. One of them is clear to medium to slow, medium to medium, medium to slow, and then flashing for your limited, of course. So that's what makes it really special, is that like someone really put some thought into it. And it's sort of a shame that it's sort of definitely fallen by the wayside. I need to make sure I didn't over-resize this. Nope, we're good. Mexico Tower. Mexico is named after the local village or hamlet or place called Mexico Farms. Don't know why, if that's named after the country or something else. This is still there and looks like it's got use. Probably some sort of place where crews can assemble before they before they're getting on or off their assignments. They can take over from like a yard team or something. I'm not exactly 100% sure. Let's see what I called this back in the day. I'm sure I called it something. So many I actually went out to Mexico at one point, but I didn't walk around it. I just took pictures from the bridge. It's a fairly active area. But I have it in both directions. I got a jillion pictures of the whole complex there. Although there's not much going on now with I mean it's there, but no more CPLs. Is that the picture? No. Alright, whatever. I can't find any of the old picture there, so. If I put a winter suffix on all these, I'm pretty much going to avoid any conflicts. Yep, and here we have the bracket, and see they're already starting to do, even in 2008. The major thing that they were doing in 2000, up in the early days, 2005 or so, is that the first thing that was going, that they loved replacing the CPL dwarfs, mainly because they would get stolen a lot by collectors. So whenever a CPL dwarf either got damaged or stolen, they tended not to put a new one in place. It's like when some guy steals your car battery, then they'll know that you'll have a new car battery and they'll steal it again. So they're not going to. They weren't going to play that game, and they would just put in a 4-stack dwarf. And oh hey, look at that. The what I like to call the once in future CSX locomotive. They sold the C40-8s to Pan Am. Now they're trying to buy Pan Am. So what? They can sell them again? Oh my god. Okay, so the C40-8s were in the 7500 series. See, I like. Why did that? For those of you who weren't here yesterday, there was a CSX locomotive on the approach to Chicago. I thought it was 7854. Oh, it was 7554 or something. All right, I'm just going to... call it 7554. That's close enough. Oh, wow. We got a lot of neat stuff here. So, C40-8, 7580. That's cool. Looks like 8117. It's probably going to be an SD40. You can see the long porch there. That's going to definitely be still in service. So, what number is that? 8117? Yeah, it's an SD40-2. Here's some really cool. There's a B36-7. I saw one of those up in upstate New York. It looks like it's 5567. Oh man, that's really neat. Let's see if that's right. I don't know what the all-time roster is. Nah, it wasn't 5567. I don't think it was a B30 dash. Whatever. See, it's SD60M. So yeah, see, maybe it's is it a B30-7? Could be. Yeah, 2005. 5567. So yeah, my mistake. It looks like it's a B30. I thought they got rid of their 3,000 horse, their crappy B boats earlier than this. Because I knew that they had some of the B36s running around because they had slightly better horsepower. But someone correct me. Yeah, someone correct me if they see if that's not a second 5 there. And then finally we have another 8104. So I'm thinking that's 5567 as a B30-7. So I wish I really had like an all-time roster or something, but I just couldn't locate one. All right, I'm gonna save this file and then I'm gonna resize it because I can't get and see the things there. So what is that? 7580. Yes, X 7580 plus 1887 plus 5567 plus 8104. 8104. Other times when I have giant strings of locomotives like that, I write it down. Okay, that's really cool right there. This shows that's worth the price of admission. You know, all this. You know, this is just so fun because it's like every day is an archaeological expedition. Let's see if there's any more questions. Yes, B&O CPLs were substantial. I mean, it's so. If you're not someone who really gets into signal rules, it's easy to just assume that color position lights. And a lot of books may. I mean, some books do. I do have some books that will call out the CPLs as special. But a lot of other ones, especially things that are like not signaling oriented, will mix them in with Amtrak or PRR or the other stuff, and they are their own very, very unique thing. I feel like if our country, if like the ICC or the FRA ever had standardized a national signal rule system, they would have used B&O CPLs. Like in the 1920s, there might have been a brief period of time, when railroads were going from semaphore to color light, that there could have been, a thing about B&O CPLs. But I'm not saying that there was any great move towards it or it would have made sense or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if they had wanted to standardize on something, I think that would have been the better candidate, the best candidate. So here we have the Patterson Creek Bridge, this is the Potomac, but I call it the Patterson Creek Bridge. I gotta readjust I'm off the Cumberland terminal. Oops. Cumberland, Potomac. There we go. Oh, that's what's interesting. This bridge got replaced. I don't have the newest photos here because this machine got retired from my frontline service in 2017. But this really neat sort of truss bridge over the Potomac got the replace job put on it. If I can pull up an overhead, which is still in Toledo. Google map. Cumberland's close to DC, and you think. So there's the bridge. You can see up here that it's concrete. That's clearly a new thing. I don't know what was wrong with the old one, but this bridge done got replaced. I'm just trying to get this going here. Okay, let's see what it does for me. Yeah, you don't really need a lot of color enhancement. It's I get the best stuff in winter. Honestly, the worst time I have the for color is summer. Like the brightest of summer days will just play heck on my whatever my camera's white balance is. I don't have the greatest cameras in the world. I'm sure that people will tell me better ones to get. But just the ones I have. What is this? Come on, where's the Cumberland sub? Capital sub? No. Metropolitan? Nope. Lurgan? Keystone. Come on. Here we go. Do I get a North Branch? Yeah, they're not giving me the name on the exact thing here. I used to just estimate stuff to the nearest whole mile post. And then when I would take multiple trips over the same line, or take a lot of pictures back to back, as my ability to take quantity of pictures increased, that whole like single mile post thing was a bad idea, because I just had too many things cramped into the same, like grade crossing at whole mile post. Suddenly you have multiple grade crossings, and it's like, well, which one? You used up your namespace too easily. Okay, next. Here we are at coming in on Patterson Creek Tower. I think it used to be called like FA Tower. I can probably go pull this up on this guy's thing. This is going to be in West Virginia. We're on the far side of the river. Wisconsin, Virginia. Sometimes you forget that. FN at Patterson Creek. There it is. This tower replaced a number of others in like 1954. And it had CTC control over the 261 portion of the line all the way out to Orleans Road. Then it was on to Hancock. This would be one of the first. This and the rest of the Cumberland terminal, including Viaduct Junction, would be some of the first parts of this whole route that was transferred to remote, a.k.a. Jacksonville. I do have some film photos somewhere about these coming through here in 2000, 2001, where the new signals were just going up. The junction here was a shortcut for trains on the mountain sub to avoid going through Cumberland Terminal. Apparently, it was ripped out sometime in the 60s, and it was almost reactivated when coal got big again in the 80s. But the prices dropped and the traffic dropped, so they never reactivated that line. It makes sense just to have it there anyway, but I guess there's just nothing coming off the mountain slab these days. Let's see what I can... Do I have this picture in the archives? Probably. Of some of them. Not that one. Puzzling. And like I said last time, I have gotten into this. It's still sitting there. You can drive out on the old right-of-way right up to this location. It's kind of like a country road. Just have to, it helps. I think I drove out there, and my friend had a Ford Focus, so you whatever you have, you're gonna get it. You can get out there, no problem. It's not very long off the nearest road. The bottom, and you can get up. The bottom. There's nothing in the bottom. A tree can get you into the second floor, and there's a whole bunch of B&O documents in there, just tons of them. I grabbed a handful. It's just all sorts of just report, inspection sheets, this, that, train orders. It's wet. It's all it's all water damaged, but it's still in pretty good condition. I don't need to resize that. There it goes. If you look down here on the overhead, So there's the branch of the river. You can let me see if you can see. I think I tagged it out. There it is. So that orange line there, that's the old shortcut. It saves a substantial amount of trackage. Like I said, is it really that hard to have maintained anything that's coming off the mountain sub is going to be a coal train. Like why do you need it to go through the Cumberland terminal? Just have it directly go to the East Coast. I say I don't know why this 3 mile chunk of track there was such a maintenance headache that they thought it was better for have trains go. Let's see how long out of their way. We can do a quick measurement. So it's 13 miles one way and and 5 miles the other. So again, I don't know why they felt the need to get rid of that. But when you're coming in, if you ever want to go out to Patterson Creek, you just sort of go to this little road there, down past those houses, and then you turn down that little road, and then the old right-of-way, you can just go right along it through the woods, and you pop right across there, and you pop out like right in that area. Or I think we parked, maybe we didn't drive across the bridge, but that's how you get to the Patterson Creek Tower if anyone's interested. Nope, I still got more photos here. Oh, this was always my favorite. I considered this to be the equivalent to the Fostoria signal on the PR main line, although it died a few years before Fostoria. This is the. Let's see if I can remember them this time. I think this is Dan's Run. And it just shows like the potential of what the CPL could have been if it had been allowed to evolve and become the dominant form of signaling as opposed to the seaboard, the disgrace that is seaboard. 71 Dan's Run. I was right. Let me find whichever one it is. Here it is. Gosh, yeah. Let me just make sure. I don't think this might be a unique one. I always would find trains piled up there waiting for us to get through Patterson Creek or hanging out at the thing. So I don't think I ever have any other signals that are this exact combination of approach on the controlled siding and clear on track 1. Green Spring, Patterson Creek. The scaled track, which I'm just going to call track 3 here. Oops, I'm exactly at the exact thing. Oops, no, that's right, I already resized it. Give me a little bit more color in this. Next, we have Kern's Curve. At least on these tracks, like I said, so this is milepost 160. So they considered these blocks between Patterson Creek and here to be the scale track. That's the Dan's Run's the only intermediate on the scale track. It is Rule 261. But between Green Spring and Patterson Creek, they put 2 intermediate blocks, but they consider them to be a little bit short, so that's why these have the extra 10 o'clock orbital on both directions to display, or at least going westbound to display an approach medium. These were all approach lit, which made, if you just visited them in person, you didn't get much of a light show. Now, see, you get a lot of approach mediums on this when there wasn't a signal displayed at Patterson Creek. This one's, I think, was doing, or maybe it was an approach limited. See, I always would say it was approach medium, but I don't know. Maybe I saw it flashing one of these days. I'm just checking in case there was any ones that was clear. No. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at. I just want to, just again checking for duplicate names. Yeah, it looks good. Cool. It's the only time I ever saw. Again, this would be, I guess, the only time I ever caught a clear signal for this going westbound on track 1. Here's the tie plant. I gotta get a milepost on this. There we go. This tie plant shut down not too long ago. It'd been operating for over 100 years. And for some reason it shut down. I don't know if there are other tie plants or it has something to do with the South. I think it was, I was reading up on it. It was like, I think it might have been opened by the railroad and then it got sold off like decades ago or something like that. And now, of course, it's a super fun site. For those of you who are playing along at home, the tie plant. So there's Patterson Creek. Yeah, I was once coming along here, right there, or one of these locations, like right in there, and there was just a family on horseback riding down the street. It's West Virginia for you. Nothing wrong with horseback, but it's just casual day. So here's the old tie plant. Copper's Railroad Tie Manufacturing Facility closed in 2015, citing low demand for wooden ties. There has been an uptick in a concrete tie use, but you still have a lot of issues with freight and concrete because they it doesn't dampen the vibrations. You get a lot of issues. Again, we're back at Green Spring. Those summer photos that I took, I think it was a rainy day, so they weren't quite as nice and crisp as these beautiful winter shots. I did make it out here briefly in 2011 or 2008. No, 2007. No, it had to have been after that. But I did not have a lot of time, and I was not able to do a good documentation job on this. Mexico, got to get back out to the Cumberland sub, Keystone. What's going on here? Oh, Orleans Road, Green Spring. I mean, I don't know why I'm looking up. I shouldn't bother looking up these names because I know these 2005 ones are all bad. So if I just put winter on the back of it, it should be fine. Oh, I shouldn't have deleted that. Okay. Green Spring. Oops. Besides a couple of fall trips I took on the Capital Limited, I have not taken a winter Capital Limited trip, possibly since this one. Plenty of summer, but since I got like an actual job, I just don't tend to do these trips with limited daylight. In fact, for years, whenever I do my cross country trips, I would intentionally plan them around the solstice just to get the maximum amount of daylight. Noting the clear signal there on track 1. There we go. It makes me wonder if I had any Westbound, CPL, Mass, track 1 clear. Yeah, see, that's why I like to check, because this one, they do have a track 1 clear, so I need to make sure that I put that out with a winter. Track 1 clear. And again, the reason you're seeing the medium approach medium orbital, the 8 o'clock, because that track 3, huh. Yeah, no, it does have an approach, so I guess that, yeah, it's like, if there's an approach signal on that track 3, or maybe the whole thing is just short signal blocked. Yeah, they probably think all the signals, the blocks between here and Patterson Creek are technically short. Next one's, oh, it looks like a train went by and I missed it, because that's showing stop and proceed, indicating that there was something in that block that seen missing. There we go. Sorry. All right, next, these are Long's Crossing. Track 1, stop and proceed. There it is. Wow, man, I did a terrible job on that. So, yeah, I do have an issue here with that sort of haze, and I can run it through the filter, but then I got to make sure that I come back and resaturate. A little bit of a blue tint. Can get rid of that a bit. Just keep it saturated, and just note that it's soft. Yeah, I've got about the maximum amount I can out of that resolution. Long's Crossing, westbound, track 1, stop and proceed. Early on in the B&O CPL, like in the B&O days, just like the PRR with its marker lights, the B&O did try to treat that stop and proceed upper marker as necessary for stop and proceed, but eventually everybody just went on. Eventually, someone got on board with the marker light. I mean the number plate. So even if that marker light's out, that number plate still makes it a restricted proceed, stop and proceed, whatever you want to call it. Double check I'm getting the right tracks there. Yep, track 1. But back in the day, they would actually do things, if you were in a Rule 261 or traffic control territory, things set against the flow of traffic would have that upper CPL go dark. And you do see that here. So here, even though by CSX rule this is also restricted proceed, under the B&O signaling scheme, that upper orbital is extinguished because in theory a train would be traveling against the current of traffic, even if it was at restricted speed. But here they get the orbital and and stop and proceed. But in this day and age, that's sort of seen as a no, don't worry about it. Here we have, like I said, one of my favorite names for an interlocking Okinokono. All these locations go way back, even if it doesn't look like there's anything there today. In my B&O books, they have pictures of the original towers that were here, and they talk about, like, there was a brick kiln, and that's why they built, and there was a station for the brick kiln. Stuff like that. Oops. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, I always forget how to spell that. There it is. Yeah, and this, of course, it got all torn up. Okay. Oops. Yeah, don't need that much detail. How we doing? Everything good? And thanks for Jessica. Thank you so much for the heads up on 5567. So I mean, again, it's like I said, every so often before they did their mass resignaling, there was always little bits and pieces. Sometimes it was motivated by a change in layout. Other times maybe there was a derailment or a flood. It all depended. I mean, there were situations where there was a derailment and then they'd put up a brand new CPL. HB Tower had that back in 2007. A derailment downtown in Baltimore and Bailey's Y knocked out the CPL that was there, and then within a day they had a replacement out of the yard. Toot sweet for that. So I'm not sure why you'd have this sort of situation with like a replacement Vader masts randomly at an interlocking. Oops. There we go. Come on. There. What am I doing? My fingers stopped working. There it is. And we're finally into what I would consider. So this is about where you went to a sort of a fort right before the split, where the cutoff and the old slow route. It was clearly that they had some multi-track going on. There we go. I think this is Turkey Foot, and we have a nice double approach, which is cool. For the record, again, this is this flavor of General Railway Signal traffic control system. These signals would float, so this is why it's a little bit zoomed. I was trying to catch the signal float after we passed it. If there was no route set into this, it would pop up. This was in this USNS didn't do this, but I heard that people like railroads would like this, like the B&O, because when a train would pass. Something in a siding, like a local freight or whatever, could pop out and then head back the other way without needing to, have the dispatcher throw traffic on the entire line segment. They could leave immediately behind the train that just passed and then continue on and then get somewhere. And this is Little Niagara. And that looks like it for this. Name. Okay, we're going to have a marginally shorter one here. Just 10 items. Let me see if there are any questions. Here we have Pawpaw, the bracket right. Yeah, pretty sure this is. Pawpaw is both a town and a tunnel. Zoom out a little bit here. There's Okanokono, West Virginia, or however you pronounce it. There's Pawpaw, so it comes up. Come on. There it goes. And this is so. That area near Little Niagara, I think that's where the tower was or where the split was. If I go to this layer in Wikimapia, you can see that's where the old route splits off, and that's the sort of the official split between the Magnolia cutoff and the old line. If you go in the town, all the right of ways stand out very very distinctively. So I actually had been in there and I took pictures of the Pawpaw, this bracket. and the Paw Paw Tunnel. Yeah, I don't have the length on it, but that's where we are. Like I said, unfortunately, I do, and in this one, I was able to visit a number of times. I was able to both get pictures from the train and was able to visit in person. Nice winter shot of this. Yeah, a lot of sky that I don't need in some of these shots. And was that the Carruthers Tunnel? I thought Paw Paw was a tunnel. I guess it's just a signal location. Yeah, it is Carruthers. Derp. What do you mean by signal plant? Do I like? I mean like the manufacturer. 1 second. So again, here we have a nice shot of the Carruthers Tunnel before CSX went and put Chessie ears on it, as part of their double stack clearance project. Yeah, see, I mean, it's on brand, so I really can't be that mad at it. See, I got this whole like thing here, like they literally put Chessie ears on all their tunnels. But the good news is that this is an absolutely excellent, one of the few, I guess this is the best, one of the better shots I have of this side of the tunnel. It's always with my DSLR, it always had problems. Or at least when I had the autofocus, I was using the autofocus, it would have trouble locking onto the end of the tunnel as we came out. Nah, I don't want to do that. Just sort of up the contrast a little bit. 1914, I remember that reinforced concrete was a brand new technology. So I'm glad, really glad I got that nice clear photo, picture of that end of the tunnel. Did not get a very good picture of this guy. This would have been who is this? The Carruthers signal, milepost 147. Every time I passed this signal, almost without exception, like there, it was always displaying an approach medium. Approach medium. I don't think I have any other picture except that one where it's a stop and proceed. It always was displaying an approach medium. That's just weird. Like, what? It's like whatever traffic is that the dispatcher never had anything lined up here. Even if they had... there we go. Probably not the best I'm going to get on this. Yeah. Sharpen. Okay. Here we're getting to the bridges, the famous bridges. Well, I don't have a picture of this, but there's the famous wall. This gets a lot of. There's the old main line. You can see the different alignment of the cutoff versus the old route that parallels the river. This I have a picture of this under construction. This retaining wall is absolutely massive. You don't see how much structure there is that goes under this. Not like the retaining wall in Baltimore that fell over near my house. Okay, these guys were there, so that's 146.7. This is the bridge over the old main line. Here I'm mainly trying to find what the milepost is. 146.7. No, not this one. Okay, don't need that. Go over there. Lift this guy up. And cut. There it goes. Enhance. Sharpen. And I'm going to sharpen a little bit more. Sorry. So this is, again, the famous tunnel bridge complex on the Magnolia cutoff. And remember, like I said, if you look at the thing here, if I can find it, milepost 149 to 155 are not. Oh, hold on. Sorry, milepost 150 to 154 are not used. So the Magnolia cutoff saved 4 miles of windy, curvy mainline action there. This is inside the Graham Tunnel. One of these. I mean, I guess there it is. Yeah. All right. Other end of the Graham Tunnel. Yeah, you just get this nice look view straight through it. I don't want that. There you go. Yeah, remember about this time in early 1910, everybody was building cutoffs. DL&W, their cutoffs were built about this time. And a lot of it was made possible by the invention and widespread use or increasing availability of reinforced concrete technology, which you don't think is a technology, but it was. Concrete and cement had been around for a while, but until that time, almost everything had to be made out of masonry, fitted. And it was in the first decade, I think it was like 1907, 8, 9 was we first started seeing it. But yeah, this would have been in the first decade that you really had, the mature reinforced concrete technology available for railroads and such. And they took advantage of it, especially since you're going through another evolution in power and weight and locomotive weight and all that stuff. Here we have a beautiful picture of the Second Potomac Bridge. Nothing that it's not amazing like I got a great equipment, but I still really nice. Where would it have been? Yeah, about there. 145.7. Now here's a picture you might find familiar. And while I'm cropping it out, I'll give you guys a second to who's ever watching. Nah, I don't want to crop it like that. I want to crop it up more. There it goes. And I'm gonna have to do something. Once I do this, I'm gonna have to do some stuff with it as well. And I'll show you why. Let me see if anyone thinks this looks familiar. If you aren't sure why that looks familiar, it's because about 10 years ago I used it as the page image for the North American Railway signaling Wikipedia page, and it's been there ever since. And I need to expand that, expand the size there. Which I will do so shortly, because screen resolutions have grown a bit. But once I get this new version up, I will update this picture and get it up to date. Just because it's a really nice picture. You got sun in it, but the signals are shaded enough where you can still it makes the indications really pop. And I think the North American Railway signaling Wikipedia page should showcase the B&O CPL. It is definitely the homegrown American signal. Oh, by the way, I'm going to also point out in the Magnolia cutoff, it had its own milepost numbering system. CSX never changed them. They're like, a number plate's a number plate, but those reference the Magnolia cutoff miles that since they abandoned the old line, CSX just sort of ditched them. I did visit Magnolia, fortunately. 2011 or 10, somewhere in there. Here we go. Yeah, there's the old version. Here's the new version. I'm going to keep the name, too. Why not? They deserve it. If I say these at a higher super quality, what's that going to do? Yeah, it's not necessary. Maybe I will. Just in case. Coming up to the end here, we got the sort of a soft picture of the Stewart Tunnel. Hey, it's actually level. Look at that. Don't have to do any work there. Okay. Oh, it's really blue. I want to try to bring up some stuff, but that doesn't really matter. Magnolia, Magnolia, Magnolia. Stewart. Come on. Do I have a more detailed milepost number? Not really. At least I got some good pictures on that. Stewart. And last one of the day. This is Hands wrote, and I really hope that I didn't get this out of the line, or one of the Hands wrote signals. Yeah, they're sort of split for some reason. Not those. Don't care about those guys. Wait, there he is. Yeah, I don't know why these are split. The cutoff tended to attract a lot of bracket masts. By the way, yeah, the CPLs really didn't get the CPLs, from what I read, weren't even installed on this route until they did the CTC project with Patterson Creek Tower in the 1950s. So we it's while the PRR was pretty quick on the draw with its position lights. B&O, did not have as much money, and they only really got going on it a little bit later. I mean, the PRO had a lot of brackets into the 20s and 30s and 40s. They didn't get their PLs up fast, everywhere. But I think that there was greater PL adoption than on the B&O, which, I have 1990s timetable, like Chicago area signal rules, and because of like 75th Street, the B&O one, the B&O CT has semaphores in it. Make sure I didn't overcrop that. Now we're good. All right, that's it for today. I'm gonna go check the stuff in a second. Any last questions before I go? Ooh, man, went a little bit longer than I thought, but anyway, thank you so much for staying around. I'm gonna head out sooner rather than later. Anyone, last call. Tomorrow's gonna be the SEPTA, the midwinter trip alternative. Gonna be a walking tour around downtown Center City, Philadelphia. This is for 2020. Everybody who's listening in the future. Start at the West Concourse Market East Station. You can get there however you want. And we're going to leave sometime between 9:30 and 10 and walk around the City Branch as much as, City Branch. Sorry, not with City Branch. Reading Viaduct, along the City Branch, over to the Park Tunnel, along the waterfront and the B&O line, over to 30th Street, and then around University City to some degree. So, dress warm if you're coming. It's going to be a wonderful day, 50 degrees. For December, and everybody have a great day. I'm gonna end this and get out of here. All right. Good night. Happy New Year coming up. Oh, and one more part tomorrow. We'll finish this up. Part 5 tomorrow night. All right. See ya. Bye.